Welcome to Pontification Nation. I'm your host, Ricky Skittle, coming to you live, as always, from my mother's basement. Today, we're going to continue with discussing the shutdown and Trump and his Twitter and how he communicates through Twitter directly to the American people, also to stakeholders in the negotiations, as well as everyone else who may be paying attention for the future. So we will continue right where we let off. I do want to say thank you to people who have subscribed. If you haven't yet, please come to the landing page, hit the big red subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so that you will be notified anytime that we post new content. All right, so where we left off, fake news is truly the enemy of the people, which is true. It is the fake news media, not a free press. Don't let Democrats tell you that Donald Trump says the free press is the enemy of the people, because it is not. And I also, just as a blurb, I'm not buying this quote-unquote Trump supporter hitting the media last night at the rally. Doesn't make any sense to me, just like Jussie Smollett. And we're going to have an update on Jussie in the next video that I will produce today. Now, this is our final installment, and we're going to get to the big end, where everything works out exactly as expected. So, starting here, Donald Trump. The economy is one of the best in our history, with unemployment at a 50-year low and the stock market ready to again break a record set by us many times. And all you heard yesterday, based on a phony story, was impeachment. You want to see a stock market crash? Impeach Trump. So again, he's talking about the BuzzFeed fake news story that was going on at the time then. But again, focus on this stuff, the economy. He has been talking about jobs and the economy all month leading up to the State of the Union. Many people are saying that the mainstream media will have a very hard time restoring credibility because of the way they've treated me over the past 3 years, including the election lead up, as highlighted by the disgraceful BuzzFeed story and even more disgraceful coverage. He is projecting, as he has said before, he's on record. New York Times will endorse me for president in the upcoming election cycle. He knows full well the whole story. All right? And they are investigating it, and it will come out. Hopefully this year, but most likely I would say it would come out in 2020. Probably wants to use the whole entire thing to make sure that people remember what really happened during the election last time. But I truly believe that he will be endorsed by the mainstream media because they will have no other option, because they had just destroyed themselves over the past 3 years. I will be live from the White House at 4 p.m. So this is the Saturday address that he gave in the afternoon. Now, the interesting part about this was initially it was 3 p.m. Then it got moved to 4 p.m. Now, it got moved to 4 p.m. He tweeted at 11 a.m. I mean, I didn't even see this tweet that day. I was anticipating 3, and then around 2:30, I saw that it was pushed to 4. But why was it pushed to 4? Who knows really why it was pushed to 4? But here's what happened because it was pushed to 4. The Democrats released their non-acceptance of his proposal at 3:30 before he even said it. I always heard that a president, it's all about the economy. Well, we have one of the best economies in the history of our country. Big GDP, lowest unemployment, companies coming back to the U.S. in big numbers, great new trade deals happening, and more. But little media attention. Again, when is this? 4:40 a.m. He's responding to liberal talking points at 4 in the morning because he knows that's when they come out. Okay? Next. Nancy Pelosi and some of the Democrats turned down my offer yesterday before I even got up to speak. They don't see crime and drugs. They only see 2020, which they are not going to win. Best economy. They should do the right thing for the country and allow people to go back to work. So he's still posturing. Now, again, when you look at all of the tweets around this time frame, everyone is saying how magnanimous he's being. He is, again, telling the American people, I'm willing to work with these people. Let's get a deal done. They refuse to get a deal done unless government is open, which is fine with President Trump. And no, amnesty is not part of my offer. It is a 3-year extension of DACA. Amnesty will be used only on a much bigger deal, whether on immigration or something else. Likewise, there will be no big push to remove the 11 million plus people who are here illegally. But be careful, Nancy. So he's basically warning her, you know, I'm only trying to remove criminal illegals. But if you want to continue this game, I will start removing all of them. Nancy Pelosi has behaved so irrationally and has gone so far to the left that she has now officially become a radical Democrat. She is so petrified of the lefties in her party that she has lost control. And by the way, clean up the streets in San Francisco. They are disgusting. Again, early morning, coming out, responding to their posturing, the liberal media talking points that come out at 4 a.m. Nancy, I am still thinking about the State of the Union speech. There are so many options, including doing it as per your written offer made during the shutdown. Security is no problem. And my written acceptance. While a contract is a contract, I'll get back to you soon. Again, leading her down the path of canceling the State of the Union, right? He wants her to cancel the State of the Union. Wow, just heard that my poll numbers with Hispanics have gone up 19% to 50%. That is because they know the border issue better than anyone, and they want security, which can only be gotten with a wall. Now, we discussed this in the last set of tweets, the last video that we did. He did not just hear 4 days later or 6 days later that his poll numbers went up. He is making it clear to Democrats that he is actually winning the shutdown. And if Donald Trump can get 50% of Hispanic vote and 30% of the African American vote, he will win 40 states in 2020. Now here's Mark Meadows. This is the latest and most significant step yet of POTUS showing his willingness to negotiate and compromise with Democrats on the issue of wall funding. At this point, if the Democrats refuse to come to the table, it will show they are not at all serious about solving this impasse, which we've already proven that they are not at all serious at solving this impasse. This is what is going on. So these are the tweets that are going on around Trump. He retweeted a ton of them if you go look, and you can see what the other lawmakers were saying. So here we go. As the shutdown was going on, Nancy Pelosi asked me to give the State of the Union address. I agreed. She then changed her mind because of the shutdown, suggesting a later date. This is her prerogative. I will do the address when the shutdown is over. I am not looking for an alternative venue for the State of the Union because there is no venue that can compete with the history, tradition, and importance of the House chamber. I look forward to giving a great State of the Union address in the near future. Now, this is January 23rd. We're 8 days away from February 1st, 2 days away from the State of the Union when it was scheduled. Now, just keep this in the back of your mind, because Donald Trump knew the whole time that he wanted to give the State of the Union in February instead of January as this was going on, and he realized that he was winning. This is everything FDR dreamed about, the New Deal to put America back to work. Think of LBJ. He gave people food stamps and welfare. Donald Trump is giving them a job. He's got a lot of good things to talk about. News stories do not accurately cover him. Should correct. Doug Weed. Again, Trump bringing the truth to the American people about what is going on in this country and what it really looks like and how people are truly better off. I implore you, everyone, liberals and conservatives alike, don't believe what people tell you. Believe what you see in your neighborhoods. Look around. See what's going on around you. The country is in a better place. The media does not want you to believe that. They don't want you to believe what you're actually seeing with your own two eyes. So go out and take a look around at malls, shopping places. You got Valentine's Day coming up. See how much money is being spent on Valentine's Day. People don't spend money and they aren't confident when the economy isn't doing well. Now, this is after Trump has said he was going to reopen government for 21 days. I wish people would read or listen to my words on the border wall. This was in no way a concession. It was taking care of millions of people who were getting badly hurt by the shutdown with the understanding that in 21 days, if no deal is done, it's off to the races. Now, there's a lot of really deep decoding that can go on in this tweet. The person that you would want to look at if you want to go deep is Serial Brain 2, and we know is a channel on YouTube that produces Serial Brain 2 videos, and it goes very deep. It's not for here, it's not for this discussion, but I read Serial Brain 2, and if you want to understand Donald Trump's Twitter in a much deeper way, we're only scratching the surface here. I would recommend following And We Know and reading Serial Brain 2 on Reddit. I like the fact the president is making the case, border security and crime, to the American people. Now we know where Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and the Democrats stand, which is no border security, will be a big 2020 issue. So again, Trump knows the polling. He knows what the people are thinking. This is why he let the shutdown go on this long. And this is why he let the Democrats think they won the shutdown, because they are already in checkmate and they don't even know it. 21 days goes very quickly. Negotiations with Democrats will start immediately. Will not be easy to make a deal. Both parties are very dug in. The case for national security has been greatly enhanced by what has been happening at the border and through dialogue. We will build the wall. Now, this is him saying, listen, 21 days. We're going to build the wall. If you guys want to be a part of building that wall, let's talk. If you don't want to be a part of building that wall, I'll see you in 2020 when the wall's built and there's less crime in this country. We are not even into February, and the cost of illegal immigration so far this year is $18,959,495,168. The cost Friday was $603,331,392. There are at least 25,772,342 illegal aliens, not the 11 million that have been reported for years in our country. So ridiculous. DHS. Trump is giving us actual data that no one else will give us. Just previously in this video, or maybe it was right at the end of last video, we were talking about the 11 million number. He said the 11 million plus. 25,772,342 is a very specific number. These are very specific numbers. He's either just completely making them up, or they're coming from DHS, which he says right here. So these are the facts. It spent $20 billion in January on illegal immigration. Is that what you want? Is that the best use of funds? We're talking about 5.7 for a wall, and we spent 20 in January. Republicans on the Homeland Security Committee are wasting their time. Democrats, despite all of the evidence that I've laid out, proof that I've laid out, and caravans coming, are not going to give the money to build the desperately needed wall. I've got you covered. Wall is already being built. I don't expect much help. Trump again saying, listen, we're already building the wall. I already have the money in the military spending bill that I prepared and planned for well in advance of any of this, but I did want to take this month and show you who the Democrats really are and show you what I'm offering Hispanics, Latinos, DACA people, so that you know who really has your interest at heart. Very sadly, murder cases in Mexico in 2018 rose 33% from 2017 to 33,341. This is a big contributor to the humanitarian crisis taking place on our southern border and then spreading throughout our country. Worse even than Afghanistan, much caused by drugs. Wall is being built. Again, telling the American people leading up to the State of the Union that the wall is already being built. Don't worry about all of the semantics, and don't worry about the 3 weeks that we have to negotiate, because I'm already building the wall and I will continue to build the wall. But the important part about this is the reason that the the murders are up. It's because the cartels are fighting for territory for the human trafficking routes. And they're very valuable, and they're murdering people to control the areas and traffic humans, little kids. Now, this is it. We added 304,000 jobs, which was a shocker to a lot of people. It wasn't a shocker to me. Do you want to know why Trump wanted to do the State of the Union in February as opposed to the end of January? Because he had a pretty good idea, which he says right here was a shocker to a lot of people, wasn't a shocker to me. He knew what the jobs numbers were going to be, and he knew that he was going to be able to say that during the speech. Because everyone was talking about how the government shutdown was destroying the economy and how he was doing such bad things for the economy and for people. He needed that number to come out and be public so that he could talk about it at the speech. And that is exactly why the speech got delayed. That's exactly why all of this stuff happened and why it went so long as we went through it. Because Donald Trump wanted to make sure that he had enough time to tell the American people all the information they needed. And then when it got to the point where it was so long, what's an extra 7 days to get this jobs number that I know is going to be coming out? Now here, this is the approval of the speech among speech watchers. They're all going to give you that caveat. 97% of Republicans approve. 30% of Democrats approve. 82% of independents approve. If he has those type of approval numbers in 2020, he'll win all 50 states. I don't even care about California and New York. He'll win them. Now, the other important part about this is now going into negotiations in the final week of negotiations, the immigration part of his speech had 72% approval. So he went from 50% in the middle of January. Remember, we talked about that in the previous videos. He was at 50% in the middle of January. By the State of the Union, he was 72%. Donald Trump moved the number from the low 40s to 72. He almost doubled the number on people who agree with him on immigration in 30 days on Twitter. A couple of Oval Office interviews or Oval Office speeches as well. But I mean, essentially on Twitter, which we just laid out painstakingly and frustratingly for me at times, I will be honest, because this was tough and it took a lot of days to get this right. He's a genius. He just schooled them. He owned them. And everyone in the country agrees with them. Checkmate. Here are their options. 1, be a part of the wall and be a part of what everyone wants at 72, 73% of the country wants, or shut the government down, and this time the shutdown is truly on you. Because he just laid the whole case out to the American people about who these people are, why they are that way. It's genius. He knew it the whole time. He telegraphed it. And this is exactly how he wanted it to happen and exactly how he wanted it to go down. Now here's one from Sunday, Mrs. Skittles' birthday. I don't think the Dems on the border committee are being allowed by their leaders to make a deal. They are offering very little money for the desperately needed border wall, and now, out of the blue, want a cap on convicted violent felons to be held in detention. It's insane. And the wall deal is terrible. It's awful. But it's insane that they want to reduce the amount of beds that are available so that they can detain criminal illegal aliens when they come in, instead of letting them go so that they can fast track their deportation. The Democrats want to reduce the amount of beds that are available to deport people who commit crimes against children, sex crimes, human trafficking, murder, rape, everything. Whatever crimes they're committing, they should be committing them in other countries, not our own. And the Democrats now want more of those types of people to be running free in our neighborhoods. And finally, from the maestro himself, Sunday morning, stating everything that he said in 200 characters or less, or 180, whatever Twitter is. It was a very bad week for the Democrats. With the great economic numbers, which he knew were coming, which is why he delayed the State of the Union, the Virginia disaster, and the State of the Union address. Now, with the terrible offers being made by them to the border committee, I actually believe they want a shutdown. They want a new subject. Because if they have another shutdown, they can start talking about other things and blaming Trump. Trump's not going to take it. Now, let's talk about this deal briefly at the end of this video, because after this, I'm going to move on to, we have to update on Jussie, and I also have a Democrats and KKK video that we're going to do. I don't know if I'll get that done today, but we do have to talk about Jussie Smollett a little more. So this deal is a 17% reduction in the amount of beds. Now, they came out, I guess they wanted ICE eliminated completely at first, and they wanted the detaining beds for criminal illegals at the border to be eliminated completely. So they're presenting as a compromise deal that they think the president will accept, as a 17% reduction in the beds and like $1.3 billion for the wall. I'm going to leave the strategy up to him because he's better at it than me. But I would have a hard time accepting the reduction in beds unless there's some other way to do it. But the way I read the previous bill that passed the House, they had, you remember we talked about unobligated and obligated funds? They have a bunch of rules about a bunch of DHS money that must remain unobligated until 2020 and 2021. So the fiscal year for the government ends September 30th, 2020. So if these funds have to be unobligated, I mean, it's hundreds of billions of dollars that have to be unobligated until 2020 and 2021. It's almost like they're writing the bill expecting that he's going to lose the next election so that they don't have to build the wall. Now, I'm not a lawyer and I don't understand what I read completely, but the way that I read it, I'm smart. I'm not stupid. The way I read it, that's what it said to me. So I wouldn't trust any of these people. I don't know if it's worth a shutdown because, as we've seen, there's a Politico article out just this morning talking about moving unobligated funds around, like I talked about in my original border wall video, the unobligated balances. And Mick Mulvaney is running point on that. So I think what Trump will most likely do is accept this awful deal and then build the rest of the wall with other money from the Army Corps of Engineers and in the Defense Department. That's what I think will happen. But from what I've read so far briefly in between making all these videos, Trump is not excited about the bill or the deal. So we will see what the maestro decides. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all bearing with me through these videos. I know it's dry, tough subject to kind of look at all this, but at the end, to fully understand how Trump does business and what he's doing, it's very important for you and for the American people, so that when the media tells you something, you know it's probably not true. Thanks again for subscribing. Leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. For Pontification Nation, this is Ricky Skittle, and I'm out.